Hi, everybody. Welcome to She Asked Podcast, where we help you change your narrative and change your life. My name is Anna McBride, and I'm excited that you're here today. We're going to be talking today about the call to freedom. I read a Hyman quote recently that said, "We are creating our future selves with the choices we make today." What we do matters. Think about it. If we want to be healthy later in life, we need to heal now. And I want to make sure that I'm creating the version of me that I want to become by what I choose today. So for me, what this looked like is I had a narrative that I had adapted early in life. And it kept me stuck in a life that I wasn't happy in, I wasn't fulfilled in, I wasn't me in. And I had to figure out a way to transcend that, to heal so that I could move through that and change it. That required me to enter into some recovery work because I grew up in a dysfunctional family, raised by alcoholics with siblings that were addicted to various things, and I myself had my own form of addiction. And so I did not come to recovery until my 50s. However, when I got to it, it really helped me to start unpacking the parts of my life that had contributed to why I was stuck in that section of my life with the narrative that I didn't want. The narrative was I wasn't lovable. And so that narrative kept me stuck in a marriage that I knew early on, within the first 10 years, that it wasn't going to work out well for me. I knew that we were incompatible in so many ways. And yet I didn't know who I was outside of that marriage. I thought I had to be that wife. I had to be the mother of my children. And that is because I had a mother that lived a similar life. And I was very close to her. I attended to her. And so from her, I adopted self-concepts that kept me or set me up to be staying in that marriage. When I became aware that I was unhappy, this was well ahead of getting into recovery, I started doing some self-study. This is important because to really be ready to change your narrative, you have to really know yourself. Now, I knew who I wanted to become. I didn't know what was behind why I was where I was. So that is when recovery came in handy. Now, for those of you that have gotten into recovery, God bless you. I can say that the only reason why I got into recovery is because I was in so much pain. And pain became my motivator. At the time I entered in recovery, my marriage was coming to an end. I had just lost my younger sister to the disease of alcoholism. And I knew I could no longer stay the way I was. So I entered into a program that helped me begin the process of understanding what I was powerless to, what I needed to accept, what I needed to adopt in order to heal. And thus began my journey of getting to know myself from that perspective. As I began that healing journey, a lot of things have happened. I've been able to accept things at a really deep level. I've been able to accept other people the way they are. I've been able to even come to understanding what happened early in my life that contributed to what I did next and next. Now, to change that narrative, which is really important, I had to be willing to take a look at how I was being in my life. Remember, the choices we make today make the person we are going to be tomorrow. So the person I was being early in my life made me the unhappy version of myself in that marriage. It made me stay in a marriage for 36 years to somebody that I wasn't in love with and he wasn't in love with me. I didn't know how to change that. I didn't give myself permission, and I was afraid to do it on my own. So what did I do? I got busy. I got busy being a mom. I got busy taking care of my husband. I got busy taking care of other people, and I lost track of myself. Through recovery, I regained so many parts of me that I had discarded. I also was able to let go of certain types of behavior that weren't being productive, that weren't healing, that weren't kind to me. So through recovery, I've learned that I had certain parts, certain behaviors that were really creating a lifestyle that was all about protecting a secret. What was the secret for me? The secret was that I really thought I was unlovable. Seems so simple, yet it's not that easy to heal from when that's the self-concept that you carry through a good part of your life. It's what kept me in an eating disorder for 3 decades. It's what kept me married to somebody that didn't love me and I didn't love him for 3.5 decades. It's what kept me attending to other people in terms of helping them heal when really I wasn't healing myself. So this is what can keep you stuck. And when you learn to let go of these old patterns, you learn to reclaim the parts of you that were whole to begin with, that were amazing, that were lovable in my case, right? Enough for anyone, anywhere, at any time. So we think about our identity, right? How do we identify ourselves, right? Are we whole? Are we wounded? Are we a victim? Are we a hero? And in most stories, in my narrative, I was always the victim. I was always someone that needed to be rescued, needed to be taken care of. Even when I was taking care of other people, I was limiting myself. I stayed in my marriage because I thought I couldn't earn enough income on my own. I thought there's no way I can raise these 3 kids on my own. This is the story I was telling myself. This is the narrative I was carrying, that I was not complete unless I had my partner. Now, it's really, I don't want you to think that I'm anti-marriage, because I'm not. I think if you're in a healthy partnership, God bless you. I wasn't, yet I couldn't get out of it. And it wasn't until I started doing the recovery work that I could fully accept why it had to end. And it did end. It didn't end because I ended it. It ended because my ex-husband walked out on the marriage. And I'm actually going to tell you something that maybe most women might not say. I'm so excited that he did that, because it opened up me to freedom. It opened up me to be who I am today. It was a painful journey that took a lot of work. However, I can say for sure now that I am only here able to bring this information to you because he had the courage to leave. And it pushed me to become courageous enough to own my life in a bigger way. So I was very humbled at that time. I came in on my knees, as they say. However, I was able to stand up, walk, if not really charge towards a new identity. One that asked me, how do I want to feel in this life? How do I want to carry myself? How do I want to be? So I had to learn to slow down, because this girl was in a rush. I was rushing through my life because I didn't want to feel the pain. So I had to not only slow down, I had to be willing to feel. They say in the recovery rooms that to heal, you have to feel. And I know from the work that I've been able to do in those rooms, as well as with people that I get to coach, I also know that until we go back and recover these wounds which have feelings involved with them, it's called accountability. And accountability is really an ability to account for the parts of us that were wounded early in life. For me, that narrative began when I was 7, and I witnessed things in my household that were confusing, if not traumatizing. It began again before I was even a mid-teen, where I got also traumatized by things that I witnessed between my parents and things that I didn't understand. I got further embedded when I was assaulted as a teenager. And then furthermore, I had to drop out of college because I was so unhealthy from an eating disorder. And then I rushed to get married because that made sense, because my mother was also a young bride. We tend to repeat narratives that we inherit from our parents, or at least our caretakers, whoever we strongly identify with. For me, it was my mother. I was a great student of my mother. And as I began to become a woman myself, all of my ideas, all my self-concept of what a woman was supposed to be came from what I watched her do, not what I heard her say. Because as an immigrant, which she was, she kept telling us, get a job, be fully independent, because that's what American women could do. I watched her be a doting wife to her husband, a mother of her 11 children, a caretaker to all of us, and she neglected herself. She also had a disease, an addiction disease, and I witnessed all of that. I took on that narrative. I had to recover from that. I had to go back and account for those parts of me that were wounded by witnessing all that, by experiencing all that with her. And through that healing process, I was able to create a new identity. One that focuses on the feelings that matter to me now. Not the ones that were wounded from before, but the ones that are going to make my life be what I want it to be, which is free, curious, and full of love. What feelings do you want your life to feel like? What do you have to go back and account for and recover from? And what narrative are you carrying inside you that is no longer working for you? Or maybe it never did. Remember, as Mark Hyman said, we are creating our future by what we are choosing today. So how about this? Why don't you choose to give yourself permission to be able to go back and rewrite your narrative, change your story, and change your life? It takes some work. There may be things you need to recover and heal from. And there may be a new identity that you want to create with the feelings that you want versus the ones that you're wounded from. And that way you can be free. You can feel everything you want and create the version of your life as you want it to be. So accept that as an invitation that we get to really create the life we want by choosing things right now that are going to help you get there. So I hope this was helpful to you. This is Anna McBride with the She Asked podcast. Let's change your narrative and change your life. Until soon, be well.